clean. Dr. A keeps your mindset mean. From burnout, stress to daily grace, she brings the tools to lift your space. Live an I.O. life, get your mind aligned with rhythm, purpose, and soul combined. Dr. A in your ears, changing your game. Every episode, never the same. Yeah, it's that I.O. life. Yeah, it's that I.O. life. Yeah, it's the I.O. life.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. This is episode number 3 for Living the I.O. Life. Welcome to those who are live and those who will be watching later on. If I sound a little groggy or tired, it's because I am, because somebody decided to wake up at 5 o'clock this morning and wanted to play. And that would be Gio, the person, my grandson, who runs the household. But I'm here living the I.O. life. Thank you so much for joining. I got to give my shout outs and thank yous to MBR Radio, because if it wasn't for them, wouldn't be here. So thank you to Joel and team, where they're doing some fantastic things. I'm so excited to be a part of the team and see where things go with MBR Radio. Also, this show is sponsored by Living the I.O. Life Substack. Are you following me on Substack? If not, follow me on Substack. Follow MBR Radio on YouTube. Follow me on YouTube as well, Living the I.O. Life. Follow me on TikTok, Living the I.O. Life. Follow me on LinkedIn. My name, Marla Alberti. I'm the only Marla Alberti out there. All right, so let's jump into today's topic. And this won't be another long show. I think my longest show was the first one. Okay, these are going to be short 30-minute shows where we're just going to dive in and just be raw and real, right? So as you see, I got my I.O. for Teens. Oh, I have to go this way. Okay, this way. There it is. My I.O. for Teens t-shirt today. Representing my nonprofit. If you want to know about that, more about my nonprofit, please go to I.O. for Teens, IOforteens.org, and check us out. We are a nonprofit supporting and helping teenagers understand the life skills of I.O. psychology through the science of I.O. psychology. Okay, so I.O. psychology, industrial organizational psychology. I'm going to always say what that is. It is the study of what? Human behavior in the workplace. Okay. And my goal is to help you live the I.O. life. Well, why? Why, Marla? Why Dr. A? Why Gio's Glamour? Well, because I.O. psychology is embedded in our lives, whether you believe it or not. I.O. psychology is everywhere, right? Think about the definition. It's the study of human behavior. Let's stop right there. Study of human behavior in the workplace. But guess what? That human behavior starts where? It trickles into the workplace. But where does it start? It starts at home or it starts wherever you're at. It starts in your environment. And then you take that into the workplace. That's why I don't like, and you're going to hear me say this all the time, I don't like when people say, leave that home stuff at home. Well, if you're dealing with something at home, if we follow Maslow's hierarchy, yes, I'm going to get scientific here for a minute. If we follow Maslow's hierarchy, the base need is that shelter and home and food. So if something's not right at home or that basic need is not met, it's going to trickle off into work, right? So this is why I.O. psychology is so important. So this is why I'm going to preach about it all the time and make it fun, because we're living the I.O. life. So how did I discover I.O. psychology? Let me give you a story here. Well, so when I do coaching with individuals, which I've done plenty of coaching before in the past and talked to many clients, I've coached, I don't know if I had to count it. Honestly, guys, it's been over 1,000 people. And God is my witness. I've coached many people. And I've always asked them, to think about what they want. Don't let Indeed or LinkedIn or whomever else tell you what you want, right? Know in your heart what you want. So I knew as a little kid, I wanted to teach. I used to teach my baby dolls. I used to have twin beds. And I used to teach my baby dolls all the time. And it was serious. Okay. I would get I would get worksheets, and I would get a grade book from my school. I went to a school here in Jacksonville called Justina Road Elementary. I believe it's they've renamed it now. I think it's called Grasp Academy now. I think it's the name of it. But I went there. I used to get worksheets from them. I used to pass out the worksheets. I used to take my baby dolls out to recess in my little red wagon. It was serious. It really was a serious thing. Anyway, I knew I wanted to teach, but then later on down the road, I realized, okay, teachers didn't make a lot of money, so I don't want to be a teacher no more. But that teaching spirit was still in me. So I always knew I wanted to teach something, right? So, but then it kind of went down the wayside. Then I said, okay, I want to be an architect. Okay, that's another story for another podcast, right? But I still have a passion, though, for architecture. That's another story. Then I said, okay, but I've always had this deep desire inside of me where I wanted to understand, why did people behave the way they behaved? I just never understood that. And as a kid, you don't know that that's called psychology. You don't know that, right? But I always had that feeling on the inside, like, why do people act like this? Why do people act the way they act? Even myself, why did I act the way I acted? But again, that's the inner geek inside of me. So as I moved forward, got a little older in life and whatnot, went through changes in life and schooling and whatnot, I used to always get Forbes magazines. I was always fascinated with money because my associate's degree is in financial services. So again, this is okay to go through. It's okay to go through career changes, because as you can hear, I went from teacher to architect to now financial services. Okay. So I got my associate's degree and a associate certificate in financial services because I was going to be the best financial planner on the planet. Okay. Well, that's another podcast. Okay. So, but I'm still interested in the financial realm, right? So I used to get Forbes magazine. I used to always see, Forbes and what was that? Fortune. I used to always see these top 100 companies all the time. They will always be listed, these top companies, and they used to always have the best companies to work for. So I used to always want to work for these best companies, because I don't want to work for a company, again, growing up, I don't want to work for a company that wasn't a good company. So I figure if they're listed in the Fortune magazine as one of the top 100, well, I'm going to work for one of them. And then I started to notice a trend. Yes, in high school and as a young adult, I was geeking out on this type stuff. And I said, okay, I started noticing a trend. Why are some of these companies still on here? They're the same companies that are every single year, because I think Fortune put it out every year. They're the same companies every year on this magazine. And I'm like, this is interesting. What are these companies doing? Why are they the ones that are consistently on a regular basis being interviewed and passing the good employer mark? So I wanted to know what they were doing. Now, keep in mind, I didn't know there was a science out here behind that. I had no idea. Well, if you're checking out my new tattoo there, that's my tattoo. Yes, I easily get disturbed, guys. Interrupted. It's my new tattoo of my son. It's Naruto. I say it wrong. But my son was a huge anime person and he loved anime. So I got his initials right there, TDB. That's his tattoo. Anyway, back to so this is just raw. This is just me, guys. If you're gonna get me the whole time, okay? This is just me. All right. So, but I'm like, why are they on here? So I wanted to find out. So fast forward, I said, you know what? If I ever, and I used to always tell myself, if I ever get a PhD, I said, I'm going to study behavior in the workplace. I want to know why these companies are treating, or how these companies on the top 100 list all the time. I want to know. I would tell myself this all the time. If I get a PhD, because I knew I didn't know much about the doctorate level at that time. I knew there were different doctorate levels, and we can do another podcast on that, but I knew there were different doctorate levels. But I knew if I wanted to study something deep, I had to get into that doctorate level. I didn't know for sure what it was, but I knew I had to study something deep. And I knew I wanted to study that deep. So I was just fascinated with it. And I wanted to know why this was a thing. Again, everyone geeks out on certain things. Yes, this is what I was geeking out on. So I said, okay, if I ever get my PhD, that's what I'm going to study. Again, keep in mind, I did not know IO psychology existed. Had no idea. So what I did, hey, Amber, hey, girl. So what I did was I just kept going to school. So as you know, I went through schooling, got an associate's degree, bachelor's degree. And the thing is, the crazy part about me with IO psychology, I did not, and I've done many talks on this. I did a panel about it earlier this year and at BIOP, Blacks in IO conference. I did not have a linear path to IO psychology. My path went from, remember, my associate's degree is in financial services, bachelor's degrees in supervision and management, master's degrees in education. Now, doctorate degrees in IO psychology. So I went like this. I didn't go straight psychology. Because remember, I didn't know what it was. So literally, first tip, guys, if you want to know something, have something in your heart and follow that. So I always followed what was in my heart. I knew I wanted to do something. I never knew it had a title. So keep that in mind. I never knew it had a title. So if there's something you want to do, follow it in your heart. It may not have a title. You may have to make it up. Write that down. You may have to make up what you need to do. Hello. Who says you can't? I'm just saying. Okay. So what I did one day when I knew I was getting ready to finish up my master's degree at Strayer, shout out to Strayer University. I got my master's degree in master's of education, the study of adults, how adults learn. Because I like to understand how we do stuff. How. One day I literally sat down. This is no lie. I love telling the story. I sat down and typed in Google training and development because I already had my certificate in training and development. I was doing coaching already. I already had my business, entrepreneurship, all that. So I typed in training and development, coaching, behavior, workplace. I typed in I don't know how many words. I typed in a whole bunch of words into Google. I literally typed in probably 20 something words in Google. I just typed them in there. I didn't put any semicolons. I didn't do any of that. I just typed the words in Google. And out came IO psychology, industrial organizational psychology graduate programs. All these schools came up with these graduate programs. Well, I didn't know what that was. I had never heard of IO psychology. So I said, okay, well, let me look this up. So I looked up, I started clicking on these different schools. And I said, okay, I've never heard of this before. So I started researching. And of course, when I research, what's the first thing I pop up? The first thing that pops up is SIOP, which is the society. Because remember, guys, every industry has their own group, right? Has their own club, right? So what popped up was the Society of Industrial Organizational Psychology, SIOP. Shout out to SIOP. Go out to SIOP.org to check them out. Okay, so that's the main hub, right? So I went out to SIOP. I went to their website. That's the main thing that popped up. And I was just blown. When I tell you guys I was blown away, I was blown away. I could not believe that what I wanted to do was out there. It actually had a title. It was a science. It was real. Because again, in my mind, I wanted to study workplace behavior. I wanted to study why companies treated their employees a certain way. I wanted to understand why, training helped fix things or didn't fix things, or coaching. I knew I wanted to study that. I did not know there was a science for it. So just imagine how freaked out I was. I was like, wow, this is real. Again, the geeks out there who are like me understand that, right? So I was excited. So immediately I started searching for schools. And then of course I came across, at the time was National University, North Central University. And here, let me tell you, tip number 2, look for schools that fit your needs. So I was looking for schools that fitted my needs. I, at the time, was going through multiple problems, multiple issues. Dealing with my second divorce, moving, had a teenager at the time that just graduated high school who was grown and just knew everything. My sweet son just knew everything. I was going through a lot. I was a working adult. I didn't have time. One thing I did not have time for was residencies. I didn't have time for that. I don't have time to take off weeks to go off to residencies. I didn't have time to sit in a classroom of 100 people in a stadium type classroom. I didn't have time for that. I needed a school that catered to adults. Number one, catered to working adults. Let me just say that. Let me clarify that. Working adults that had kids and that had busyness. That I just didn't need a school that didn't cater to, a lot of schools cater to the kids that are graduating high school. That wasn't me, right? So I also needed a school that catered to veterans as well. So I looked for these type things, and I also wanted the veteran discount. Hello, the military discount. Duh. So North Central fit that. Well, actually Walden fit it as well, but North Central was a smidgen bit cheaper. That's it. They were like $100 per credit union, but credit union per credit cheaper. So I went with North Central, and they were an awesome university, very well known. And then they merged with, as a lot of colleges do, and so they do. Gotta remember, colleges are businesses. Just in case you don't remember that, they're businesses, guys. They're businesses. They merged with National University, which is a very well-known organization, university out in California, which they're great. I'm on the board for NU alumni. Go NU alumni. Shout out to NU. If you need a college to go to, check out nu.org. But they merged with NU. So my degree says National University. It does not say NCU. It says NU, National University. And what crossed that stage May of 2024, last year, which, as we know, which was a difficult year for me, but I won't let the difficulty of last year take away from the fact that I did accomplish one of the biggest things in my life, which is walking across the stage last year. Now, I will tell you, when I looked at this doctoral program, I was so excited. Remember, I was excited. I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe I get to study something that I have always wanted to study and didn't know it had a title to it. But when I looked at the program, it had a whole bunch of math on there. It had 3, not 1, but 2, but 3 statistics programs. Statistics classes. And if anybody knows me, my best friend Robin, she can tell you, math is not that's her thing. That is not my cup of tea. Okay. I do not like statistics. Okay. And I don't like math, period. But I still don't like it, but I have a respect for it. Seth Godin, I was listening to a podcast, as you know, we like podcasts, obviously. Listen to a podcast with Seth Godin. If you know who Seth Godin is, check him out. Has one of the longest running blogs out there. He's been out there for years. Seth Godin said, he was asked one time in a podcast, if you had some parting words for people, what would you have them to say? And what would you say? And he said, I would have everyone to learn, understand how statistics works, because nothing in this world moves without statistics. And when he said that completely, sometimes all you gotta hear is one person say one thing. It completely shifted my mindset on statistics. And it won't make me like it more now, don't get me wrong, but I respect it. It's a difference between liking and respecting. I respect the science of statistics. And so I pushed through those 3 hard classes, and thank God for YouTube University. Shout out to YouTube. Thank God for coaches and people that helped the math center. Guys, reach out for help. Don't try to do this stuff on your own. When you're going to school and trying to get these degrees and stuff, don't try to be superwoman, superman, or super whoever, super they, whatever. Reach out to these different clubs that they have at these universities and get the help. Trust me, I was on that scheduling thing like every day. I need help. I was emailing the professor, I need help. because it was foreign language to me. But I pushed through. And I'm done. And once you're done, you're done. They're not gonna. No one's gonna go ask you, well, what did you get in your statistics class? No one has asked me that yet. Of all the doors that have opened for me since I've gotten my PhD, no one has asked me what I got in my statistics classes. Because guess what? When you do research, you can hire a statistician. Okay. Yeah, that's what you do. You hire a statistician. That's what you do when you have a research team, which is what I'm building. Okay. So, but I looked at that and it did scare me a little bit, but I pushed through and I made it through. Okay. So that is how I discovered IO psychology. So the key I want you guys to take away from all of this is I knew what I wanted. Now you'll probably say, well, Dr. A, I don't know what I want. Did you listen to me at the very beginning? Did you hear how I went through how my degrees are not aligned? None of my degrees are aligned. Again, financial services, business, management, leadership, adult education, psychology. Look, I didn't even have a psychology background, people. I had to take the 18 credit hours of psychology at the beginning of my doctorate degree. I didn't even have psychology in my bachelor's program, in my master's program. I had to take psychology classes in my doctorate degree. So I am walking, living proof that you can do this. I'm walking, living proof that you can do this. Okay. So don't say, but I can't, but I don't. Yes, you can if you want it. Now, I have to add that in there. If you don't want it, then you're not going to do it. Okay. And I say that wholeheartedly. Yes, the statistics scared the poop out of me, but I knew I wanted this. I knew I wanted this study out. Remember, that's why I told the beginning story that deep rooted. You have to have I'm always talking about that why, right? I had that why, I wanted to understand that research behind that, which I'm continuing my research. So that's one of the things you say when you're basically raising your invisible hand, when you are getting a doctorate degree, you're basically saying, I'm giving my oath and honor to study this science, whatever science you're studying, whatever you're getting your degree in, for the rest of your life. That's basically what you're saying. So my goal and my thing in life is to help people understand the IO life and how IO psychology has helped me in multiple areas. It's helped. If you read my Substack, if you read my Medium, I'm everywhere, guys. On medium.com, on my LinkedIn, Substack. If you read some of my stuff, it's helped me with grief through this trying time of losing my kids, which I'm going to probably suffer with for the rest of my life, but I got to move on. I got to push through, but it has helped me through a lot because IO psychology has 26 specialization areas, and we all live in those specialization areas somewhere in our life. There's legal issues, there's HR issues, there's coaching, there's leadership, there's development, there's wellness, and those are all part of our lives. Those are all part of our lives, regardless of whether you work a 9 to 5, whether you're an influencer, whether you're an entrepreneur, regardless of what you're doing. Living the IO life. This right here. Living the IO life is going to be a part of you. So that's what I'm instilling. Even if you follow me on TikTok, where I just get real raw on TikTok, I'm just me, no makeup. Now I'm not going to have a bonnet on, guys. I don't do the bonnet. I'm raw, but I don't do the bonnet. Okay, that's just not me. Okay, but I'm raw on TikTok talking about just different topics, different about everything, but I'm very passionate about instilling life skills through this science, life skills through the fairness of the science, and really bringing it out to marginalized individuals. Okay. Marginalized individuals who may or may not, or 9 out of 10 times, don't get that opportunity to see or witness certain things. Myself, I'm marginalized simply just by being a Black woman. I'm marginalized. Just that alone makes me marginalized. Okay. So really being a woman makes me marginalized. Okay. So Guys, thank you so much for joining today. Like I said, it wasn't going to be a long one today. But like I said, the key number one tip is I wanted you guys to walk away with today was know what you want, know in your heart what you want. And if you don't know what you want, try everything. Like I said, you heard at the beginning of the podcast, my degrees aren't linear. My degrees were all over the place. Dabble. I am a fan of trying stuff because guess what? If you don't try, you'll know if you don't like it. It's just like with food. You don't know if you don't like it. Now, certain things I'm not going to try. I'm just going to tell you that now. Okay. But I will try certain things. I will try certain things. Like I tried frog legs. I didn't like them. Yeah. I tried them though. I don't like them. Anyway, everybody say it tastes like chicken. I don't like them. I guess in my brain, they're frog legs. Anyway, I told you guys I get distracted. So anyway, with that being said, guys, reach out to me, follow me. Make sure you follow MBR Radio, follow me on LinkedIn, follow us on Facebook, follow us on, I'm out there. I'm out there on all the places. This will be uploaded on my YouTube channel, again, Living the IO Life. This will be uploaded here within the next probably hour or so. So make sure you subscribe and follow me out there. Reach out. Make sure you subscribe to my True Speaks group. Okay, go to www.truespeakscoaching. Go out to my website and subscribe to my newsletter. I found some good stuff in the newsletter. And if you subscribe to the Substack newsletter, you can get some freebies. Okay, I got freebies on my website too. I give out free stuff all the time. So you're probably like, Marla, there's so much stuff I can. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of stuff. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I'll be back for another episode. Episode 4 be coming soon. I got some travel and stuff coming up. So, catch me at Author Nation, guys. Author Nation in Vegas. Author Nation in Vegas. I'm one of the signers at Reader Nation. Super excited about that. First week in November. Super excited about that. If you're gonna be out in Vegas, catch me out there. Come by my table. Come by my booth. Check me out. Get a book. Okay. If not, go to my website, www.truespeakscoaching.com. Get a book. I'll send you an autographed copy and probably some goodies along with it because I got some new goodies I just ordered. So come check me out, guys. All right. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us, giving our veterans a voice.